You know, every professional partnership, it's kind of like a day. It eventually comes to an end. Sometimes that ending is like a calm, predictable sunset, but other times it's more like a sudden storm that just rolls in out of nowhere. Today we're going to explore how these really crucial relationships, known as agency, are brought to a close.
Okay, so before we get into all the ways things can end, let's make sure we're on the same page. What even is an agency relationship? Well, simply put, it's a legal setup where one person, we call them the agent, is authorized to act for someone else, the principal. And you see this everywhere. Think of a real estate agent working for a homeowner, or a manager negotiating contracts for a band. It's a partnership built on authority and trust, which is exactly why ending it properly is such a big deal.
So here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we'll dig into the agent's authority itself. Then, we'll check out the two main ways it all wraps up: the planned conclusion, which we're calling by design, and the unexpected one, by disaster. And to finish up, we'll bring it all together.
All right, first up, the agent's authority. This is really the heart of the partnership. So if you want to understand how it ends, you've got to understand this first.
This brings up a question that anyone in a professional partnership really ought to be thinking about. What actually happens when it's time to go your separate ways? It turns out, knowing how to end an agreement correctly is just as important as knowing how to start one.
Now for our second part, ending by design. This is the ideal situation, right? It's when the end is actually part of the plan, a scheduled, peaceful sunset. Everything is controlled, it's intentional, and both people can prepare for it.
So when an ending is planned, it usually happens in one of three ways. First, the clock can simply run out. The contract had an end date, and that date has arrived. Simple. Second, you've got the handshake goodbye, where both parties just agree, hey, it's time to move on. And third, the principal can just make the call on their own and formally revoke the agent's authority.
But wait, why would a principal just suddenly pull the plug like that? Well, the source material gives us a pretty dramatic example, where there has been a secret commission. I mean, that gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? It's a huge breach of trust. If your agent is secretly making money on the side without telling you, you absolutely have the right to end that relationship right then and there.
And this really shows you the two completely different worlds of endings, side by side. On one hand, you have by design. It's planned, controlled, intentional. On the other, by disaster, sudden, uncontrolled, totally unforeseen. It's literally the difference between a calm sunset and a lightning strike. So, yeah, let's talk about that storm.
Next up, we've got ending by disaster, and it's pretty much what it sounds like, when the unexpected happens. These are the endings that nobody plans for, you know? They're external events that can just terminate a partnership in an instant.
So what kind of disasters are we really talking about here? We're looking at major external events that just automatically terminate the agreement, no discussion needed. For instance, the death, or tragically, the insanity of either the principal or the agent. If the principal goes bankrupt, that'll do it too. Or, and this one's interesting, what if the entire purpose of the agency becomes legally impossible? Let's say a new law gets passed that makes their whole business illegal. In these cases, the partnership just ends. It's pure force of circumstance.
All right, we've seen the planned sunsets, and we've seen the sudden disasters. Now for our final section, the final sunset, where we're going to pull all of these different endings together.
Here's a nice, clear breakdown. You've got your by design methods, the term expires, both parties come to an agreement, or the principal revokes authority. Then you have the by disaster scenarios, a major external event like death or bankruptcy, or the entire mission becoming legally impossible. The real takeaway here is this: an ending can be either a choice or a consequence.
And that leaves us with one final and really important question to think about. As you consider your own professional partnerships and agreements, you should ask yourself this: is your partnership prepared for a sudden sunset? Knowing the answer might be way more important than you think.